It's Friday then, so you know what time it is. It's Group B time here at the MODUS Super Series as we finalise the final 3 spots through to tomorrow night's final. This afternoon saw the thrilling conclusion to Group C, and this was exactly what happened. Jack Waring, our ADC qualifier, departed the scene. Has learned a lot from the experience this week, and we actually saw some of the best stuff today as he relaxed into proceedings. As for John Michael, the Greek player that we had here this week, he won 3 games on Thursday, put himself in a good position to qualify come Friday, but didn't get through in the end. 1 win on his final day. Steve Haggerty also missing out on qualification. He had a solid enough campaign. As for Scott Baker, putting some really good stuff. It was early defeats on day 1, which came to cost him in the end. And so it's set in stone the 2 players who went through. Reese Robinson, who treated us to perhaps one of the best checkouts we've ever seen here at the MODUS Super Series. That bull, 18 bull, against Scott Baker to save the match. He finished in 2nd place because, well, the upper crust was Warburton. Mike Warburton, the man at the top of the group, getting the better of Robinson in the final game of the group to claim top honours and secure his place into tomorrow night's final. Well, it's showtime, it's prime time. So Matthew Edgar is with me up here on the balcony to assess what we have seen in Group C and look ahead to tonight's action in Group B. Let's begin by having a look at this afternoon. We can have a look at the table now from Group C, and it was 2 players who, in the end, kind of ran away with it.
Yeah, at the start of the day, there was probably the 2 players that you'd expect to have got through, and they're the 2 players that have got through. Scott Baker was the one that I just had a little look at and said he could be the one that sort of rocks the tree, rocks the boat a little bit, and he was the closest pursuer to those. But the 2 players at the top had it pretty much sewn up from start to finish, and we was just trying to find somebody who could come through and ruffle them, and there was no one in the pack that could do that. It
was that slow start from Scott Baker, as alluded to in the highlights package there, that came to cost him in the end.
You can't win 1 game on the opening day and expect to get through, especially when we've got someone, and no disrespect to Jack Waring, but he's won 1 game throughout his whole campaign here, where he's played 25 matches. When you got a player like that in the group, and everyone's beating that player as well, other than John Michael, who lost to him in that group, which is probably why he came out of the run-in, because he sort of handicapped himself by being the only player that's lost to Jack. So he played well, he did as best as he could, but ultimately it was too big of a mountain to climb.
Well, let's have a look then at day 2 here in Group C via the numbers. This is the statistical breakdown of everything that we have seen. 26.18, a little bit below the par for the course. Reese Robinson with the highest checkout of a 150, quickest leg being in 12. Mike Warburton highest average there, the solitary ton average of that group. An overall average of 82.99, 32%. That probably was weighted a bit more maybe by the players at the bottom compared to those at the top.
Exactly that, and the group was a group of 2 halves. So when we look at the players at the bottom half of the table compared to what they was doing at the top half of the table, it was split completely into 2. I would like to see an extra column on there, maybe like Edgar's moment of the day or something like, because that 118 from Reese Robinson, they was the numbers that I really want to talk about in that one, because it wasn't the biggest finish of the week, of the day. That was the 150, but it was certainly the most entertaining finish of the day.
Matthew Edgar trying to get his own little slot here at the Super Series. Why not? Well, Group B is about to get underway. Alan Norris is going to be involved in our first game, as you could probably have heard behind us. 5 players involved in the action. Let's show you the table at the halfway point of proceedings. Conor Heneghan winning all 4 of his opening matches, but Norris and Bialekci are the other 2 players in automatic positions overnight.
The table probably is exactly how you'd expect it to be if you tuned in last night and you watched and you saw like the levels that people was producing. Personally, I don't think that table's going to move much from what it is at the moment. I think the top 3 are going to stay in those positions, and I don't see much movement tonight.
Interesting. Well, let's see what the bookmakers make then of what we are about to see over the next 10 games or so. These are what the odds compilers are saying. Conor Heneghan, well, he's kind of been all week, hasn't he? The bookies' favourite. From day 1, they've set their stall out. They're not moving away from that.
He is the bookies' favourite. He's the bookies' favourite again. He came into last night as the bookies' favourite, and he's proven right on this occasion. He won all 4 matches yesterday. He had that incredible 9-dart finish. He was producing the right things at the right times and really good moments of brilliance yesterday. He has got a couple of points cushion, and I think he's going to get this group sewn up.
Shall we have a look and see what you've picked?
Yeah, let's get it on.
Let's get prime times picks there. It's a 5.35 to 1 treble. Just give us a little summarisation of your thoughts in terms of the market here tonight.
I think there's plenty of value out there tonight. There's 10 matches, and I can probably pick 6, maybe 7 throughout tonight as they would go through. I think you can dig deeper into the markets tonight. I think the 180 markets are a good play to look through those as well. There's the over and the unders. Some of the games are going 2.5, and that's relying on the game going quite into the distance, because you're going to need the legs for that to happen. So I'd advise people to have a look at the 180 markets tonight. Well,
our first game of the evening definitely features Sebastian Bialekci. Much to the fake news of earlier on this morning, Sebastian Bialekci was probably as unaware as everybody else that he was playing the first match of the morning session, but he takes on Alan Norris. Big game for both early on to kind of assert their position in the table.
It's a game in the context of the story of the day, but I don't think it's going to affect it too much. I think both of them will go through.
Well, we're looking forward to this. 10 games on your Friday night here at the MODUS Super Series. Owen Binks is your referee on the stage behind us. I'll tell you what, it's his last session here. He's got big... Whoever's getting in tomorrow has got big shoes to fill. we better carry on, because this show's going to go completely nuts. He's going to make his way down to commentary. He's going to join Paul Nicholson. Evening, Paul.
Good evening, guys. Love that pun. Big shoes to fill.
Sebastian to throw,
or should we say big shiny shoes to fill? But maybe with 3 spots on the line this evening, it's these two who firmly have those spots in their control if they get a decent start tonight. Alan Norris, who started in Game 3 on Thursday night,
81.
will start in Game 1 on Friday and will be the first person to complete his quota in this 2-day group. But as far as Bialekci is concerned, it's pretty much the same schedule for him here tonight. He plays Game 1, the last game, and 2 in between.
140.
But the state of play is as such. Norris, on 6 points in that table, will join Conor Heneghan on 8 points if he beats Bialekci
96.
again, like he did in the early hours of this morning. But if Bialekci gets his revenge,
95.
we will now have a 4-point gap between the qualifying zone of the top 3 and the bottom 2, causing big problems for Trina Gulliver and for Jamie Kelling, who currently has 0 points in that league table.
140.
Let's start from Norris.
134.
And Bialekci needs a big out to take the first leg by the looks of it. And he might just do it on double 7.
127.
Excellent effort.
Alan, you record 45.
Really good effort. It's interesting, Bialekci's been avoiding double 7 when he's been left on it in the week. And Norris missing the big number. He's got to chase this one round the houses.
25. Sebastian, you require
This is
7.
an opportunity to get an early breaker throw here on Sebastian.
Game shot on the first leg. Sebastian Bialekci.
Have you recovered your composure yet? After that pun from Henry?
Second against Alan to throw first.
I think I laughed at it so much because I knew it was coming, but I didn't expect him to say it at the same time.
100.
In my head, I was saying the joke. We've probably done it many times when you stood there and you'll think of a joke in your head and you think, oh, I wish I could say that. He did.
96.
Well, you know how that goes, don't you? What they say about people with big shoes?
Big socks.
Big feet.
He might not. He just might like a bit of room in there.
45.
I'm trying to say he's like Sideshow Bob. Our Owen is no sideshow.
57.
It was a great job. So you think, based on what you said on the balcony, Matt, that positions
98.
in this table, they might jostle. However, you think that the top 3, as it stands, are looking pretty solid for qualification this evening.
58.
Yeah, Jamie Kelling. I mean, I've got Sebastian Bialekci down in my predictions for the win here in this game, which if that is the case, that moves to 6 points. Trina's going to have to get 4 points just to draw level with them, where Jamie Kelling's going to have to win 3 matches just to draw level. I think it's just bit too much for them to do.
100.
And when we look at Trina Gulliver and Jamie Kelling, are they going to beat these top three? I think these top three are just a little bit above them at the moment.
52.
Obviously, yesterday, if you remember the results, Trina Gulliver's 2 points did come against Jamie Kelling. So yesterday, those two players wasn't able to beat any of these three.
Treble 18 after a dart switch.
56.
You're keen to monitor which
55.
darts Alan is using. He does have two different colours.
Game
But
shot
it's
on the
two legs
second
to
leg.
Bialekci.
Sebastian Bialekci.
This is tidy from Sebastian. He has played some really good stuff this week.
Third leg,
as the
it's
young Paul.
Sebastian to throw first. Game on.
He's had a really good range as well. He hasn't had many bad games, but he hasn't had a spectacular game yet.
59.
And now I know that Sebastian's not going to hit a 9-darter in this leg, because yesterday I was trying to make a point, but I got rudely interrupted by Conor Heneghan, who decided to hit a 9-dart leg.
140.
Alan Norris, I've watched him play quite a lot. I commentated on his week the last time he was down here. I've seen him play quite a bit. He was playing
100.
around Warwickshire at one point, playing in like the Super Leagues, and he played in the seniors qualifiers. He's been playing a lot of darts, but
100.
the action just seemed to have broken down for Alan Norris, and he was talking a lot about having tension in the shoulder and really struggling with his action. And you sort of
140.
thought Alan Norris as a top competitor in elite darts, the days had probably gone, but yesterday the throw was looking
140.
as good as it did, and it's looking smooth again today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, actually, because when you think about what he's been through over the last 10 years, a lot has happened. Lots of highs and lows.
134, and you're 121.
Every time he's on something like this, Sebastian's on something easier.
96.
And he might pay the price for that bullseye miss.
68.
Double four.
Game
He's
shot on
doing
the third
very
leg.
little wrong.
Sebastian
Every
Bialekci.
time Alan looks up, he's on something like 124 or 121 and having to hit it.
Well,
Well, it's Alan to throw first.
he's not doing
Game on.
much wrong. Alan Norris is doing not much wrong himself. 92.67 the average at the moment for Alan Norris. He's not managed to
60.
win a leg.
Yesterday, just to emphasise a point, Bialekci had a running average in 4 games of 89.73,
100.
which was better than his weekly average.
45.
And he still found himself in 3rd position. That's how good this group was last night. But is he about to find his best stuff towards the end of the week? Because
100.
that's how you make a name for yourself here.
No one remembers who was winning the race all the way around. They remember who won
60.
the race at the end. About going over the line first. And this would be a great way to start the day. Not only 2 points on the table and opening up a gap between the chasing pack of Trina
96.
Gulliver and Jamie Kelling, but this would be a sizable leg difference as well.
But just to emphasise your point about timing things right.
100.
Do you remember in Super Series 1 just how many Group A winners made Champions Week eventually? Out of 12 qualifiers,
58.
how many of those qualifiers won the Group A that week?
I'm not sure.
140.
Just
That's
one.
147.
So what we're saying is Matt Dennant isn't in the strongest position.
No, he isn't. But I'm not discounting him at all.
97. Alan, you're required
Again,
96.
Norris is on something like this, and Bialekci's got something easier. Double 9 to save the match.
78.
This might
Sebastian,
be
you require
a
50.
massive injection of confidence for this 19-year-old. Throwing from the middle,
18.
but not hitting the target.
Alan, you require 18.
So that is 2 match starts for Sebastian Bialekci.
Game shot on the
We'll
fourth
keep an eye
leg.
on that,
Alan Norris.
because he has in the past let a couple of leads slip.
Fifth leg, it's Sebastian
Certainly
to
in
throw
the last
first.
week,
Game on.
which started at the UK Open last week, and he's done it a few times throughout this week as well.
That's the thing about this tournament.
95.
You learn tendencies of players. Do they have mathematical errors in their locker? Because we
41.
saw plenty of that today from John Michael, unfortunately. Actually, it wasn't just John. It was a couple of other players as well.
I think it stands out more for John Michael because we expect different from someone who's been a PDC Tour card
57.
holder and has won about 2,000 Greek Opens.
So he's won every Greek Open since 23 AD.
100.
I can see John Michael just lifting something in the air when he gets his first one. I am the champion of 24 AD. I will never let this go.
60.
I am immortal.
But here's that little trend again from Bialekci.
100.
One treble out of 9 darts so far. It's like if he doesn't get over the line at the first time, it just seems to set him back a little bit.
137.
Not for Norris. Who's back to the silver darts.
100. Sebastian, you've got 152.
This would be a good way to cross the line.
Especially with the first dart like that. Double 16.
120.
Quite surprised he didn't reset there. He looked like he was out of rhythm. When you're not sure, the best thing is to reset and try again like it's a first dart. Norris almost
82.
gets the 2 trebles
Sebastian,
he
you
needed.
required 32.
But it's match start 4. Double 4.
Game
He doesn't
shot
miss
down the match.
match start 6.
Sebastian
He owned that
Bialekci.
one, and he finds himself on 6 points now with a very healthy leg difference of +8, which is better than anybody in this table. Make no mistake, that result is really bad news for Trina Gulliver and Jamie Kelling. They now have an awful lot to do this evening if they stand any chance of making the top 3. That's a good performance from Sebastian. We'll see more of him in game 4 against Conor Heneghan, but before we get to that and Alan Norris's second game, we'll have Trina Gulliver up against Conor Heneghan of Ireland, who was Mr. 9-darter last night.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where Sebastian Bialekci has got the better of Alan Norris by 4 legs to 1 in the opening game of the evening session here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. Well, second up for us here in Group B is sees Trina Gulliver up against Conor Heneghan. Now, if Heneghan can claim the 2 points here, he will go through to Saturday night's final. Some would say he's a shoo-in under the yellow hockey.
I think we may be setting our stall out for shoe puns every single round here. I suppose when I've got a bit of time off and I want to do a bit of cooking at home, I'll do some shoe buns. Well, this man was remarkable yesterday. 8 points from 8. A 9-darter. His third
like it's Trina
in Super
to
Series
throw
action in the
first.
last year.
Game on.
But now up against Trina Gulliver and trying to compound her table misery, because with that win for Bialekci, he now has created a 4-point cushion between the qualifying zone and the bottom 2. And strangely, I've just picked up on something.
96.
When he hit that 9-darter yesterday, he was wearing a shirt that he wore when he got his first 9-darter in Southampton. When he got his second, the first one under this roof, he was wearing that shirt.
85.
Has he put this on purpose, just to make a bit of symmetry potentially, to get 2 in each shirt?
60.
History has a habit of repeating itself. That was the last thing I said to you just before you called in the 141.
60.
If he gets back-to-back 180s, I'm going to say it again.
Now, Trina yesterday averaged 77.62 for her 4 games.
100.
Just getting the 1 win. And that was good enough for 4th position from 5. That's for Conor. 87.89. Which is remarkably similar to what he's been doing all week. His weekly average of 87.18.
125.
He's really competitive. But there have been some slightly better displays than that throughout the week, just dotted around.
135.
He's got one of
130.
4 ton plus averages this week.
That was a fantastic setup there for Conor Heneghan. It wouldn't have been the way he'd planned to have done the 135, because he wouldn't have thought about hitting the treble 5 as part of that combination. But tops is something he leaves on a regular basis. It's an area of the board that he feels really happy and confident with. And rightly so he should.
Conor to throw first.
Yet to taste defeat in Group B.
Tell you what is a good sign. He can't wait to get back to the hockey here. Even with all of his Super Series experience.
96.
Where they know they've got to take a 10-second break between legs. He just couldn't wait to get started there. Are we saying that Heneghan winning this game, he's safe with 3 games to go?
Yeah, he'd be mathematically safe, because
60.
Jamie Kelling could only get to 8 points. Heneghan would all be on 10. And Trina would only be able to get to 8 points as well, because she's got 2 points from yesterday. So Conor Heneghan wins this. He is mathematically 100% through.
So he beats Trina, for example. What's his motivation for the rest of the night? Have an unbeaten group? Does he strike you as that kind of individual who would like to have a 16-point campaign? Or will he just relax into the rest of the night and not try and burn himself out for finals?
Well, I didn't think he was that type of personality until you hear that he's knocking on the door of the production office saying, I'm going to hit a 9-darter. And then he does.
Maybe he's in the mood again. Maybe not in this leg, but he's showing a great deal of stuff towards the end of the week where people can potentially start to tire. He might be getting better. And that
Game shot on
double
the
top
second
bed is at
leg.
his mercy.
Conor Heneghan.
His best average of the week, 100.12. Right now,
Third leg, it's
he's in
Trina
that
to throw
neighbourhood.
first. Game on.
I know it's only 2 legs in. Just trying to give you an insight into what kind of level he's at right now. He's at his weekly peak.
100.
He said something quite interesting there, which is probably one to put on the Super Series playlist or the
93.
Super Series album of darting songs that we could write. He says he's in the mood, and it reminded me of the song from the Nolans, I'm in the mood for dancing. We could quite simply change that to
26.
I'm in the mood for darting.
Okay, that can be the subject of the night for our social media followers at MSS Darts on Twitter, and we do have
140.
channels on Facebook and Instagram as well. What songs would you put on the MODUS Super Series playlist?
We could have gone one better there, actually. We could make a
41.
music video just for Conor Heneghan, starting with him, could recreate him going into the production office, and we could call it I'm in the mood for 9 darting. Could be the music
98.
video to his 9 dart montage.
What about Elton John's Fridays or... What was it called again? I'm just thinking out loud here. Friday's a good night for flighting.
44. Connie require 170.
Friday's a good night for fighting, apparently. He's trying to add the 170 to his collection.
98.
And don't feel that you're going to bombard us with silliness on our Twitter handles at MSS Darts or chuck in at the Edgar 501 so it appears on my screen in front of
60.
me, because we love
Connie
it.
requires 72.
Any suggestions will be very welcomed. Double 12 for Conor. And it's not just double top that's cooperating.
Conor Heneghan.
This is remarkably consistent. It's a 15 darter to maintain that 100 average.
Fourth leg, it's Conor to throw first.
Now, if you think about what Conor Heneghan has done in the past, he's got his own little slice of history here.
46.
I'll tell you one thing he hasn't done. He hasn't won a title under this roof yet. And I think secretly that bugs him a lot.
66.
I think the key word there was yet. I think it's inevitable that he does. If you ask the bookies and
96.
you look at that, in terms of the odds, they've been thinking it's going to be Conor Heneghan all week for every single group. They haven't reinstalled him as favourite for the week as of yet. That is still Matty Dennant.
45.
But very, very fractionally. There's not a lot in that. And it's interesting, though, that Sebastian Bialekci started the night today on 4 points
58.
in 3rd position, but yet he is the 4th favourite, ahead of someone like Rhys Robinson, who had already qualified, and Alan Norris, who was ahead of him in this group table.
37.
Trina struggled a little bit in this first game of the night. And Heneghan has taken full advantage of that.
95.
Maybe Trina just needs a couple of decent visits towards the end of this match just to
60.
feel good about her next game, which will be against Jamie Kelling in Game 5. Because coming back from this position against Conor, who was undefeated in the group, is looking very, very unlikely.
55.
He has dropped his performance off a little bit, but still enough at the moment to give him a good cushion in this one. And you know, with Conor, he can just
60.
ignite.
Connie require
Even coming up to the board for this
151.
151, you would never rule it out. You would now.
Now you would.
43.
I don't think he was too pleased with that visit. So he pays a visit to the table where he's taken up the world's largest darts towel.
100. Connie require 108.
Now he's got his pick. He's going to go for tops.
68. Training require 133.
People might think if he wanted to leave tops, why wouldn't he go for the 17s? Because that way you get 2 cracks at the 51. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yes, you can.
Correct.
Trina Gulliver going 19s first on 133. That is a new school way of doing
93. Conor require
it. Guarantee
40.
she wouldn't have done that 20 years ago.
Game
But double
shot
top,
and the
like I
match.
said,
Conor
at the
Heneghan.
mercy of Conor Heneghan, who is now officially qualified for Saturday night, and he could well be the man for the entire week if things keep going his way like they have over the last couple of nights. Like Matthew Edgar said, his performance level did drop a little bit in that last leg of the contest, but his doubles overall were magnificent. With 3 games to spare, he's through. Now it's a question of finding out who will join him. Could be Alan Norris. He takes on Jamie Kelling in his first game of the night. That's coming up in Game 3 after this.
Welcome back to the stage that Conor Heneghan has most definitely made his own. He's got the better of Trina Gulliver by 4-0 in our previous game to book his place into tomorrow night's final. And on this hockey, he'll be hoping to make his way to Champions League, where last time out, it was Raymond Smith that found that 8-8 to win £5,000. Let's rewatch the best bits of that final in the company of Glenn Durrant and Paul Nicholson.
In this final, when he's thrown first, has been nothing short of miraculous.
12 weeks of darts, 12 winners, 6
41.
down to the finals night, down to 4 for the semi-final, and now down to the last leg. If that doesn't sum up the whole thing about MODUS Super Series, nothing does.
It's a marathon, this thing. This is game 1,352 in this series, and it will be the very last leg of it.
What did I say about Matt Clark, who opened at 140, 180, he's regular on his throw. All of a sudden, one treble will feel like gold.
60.
And all of a sudden, you're creeping into treble 7. It takes someone like Raymond Smith now to hit a 140 here.
And he might just do it. You can hear a pin drop in here. Everybody can hear the darts hitting the board. That 140 is one of the best he's hit this week, maybe the very best of the lot.
I'm just trying to put you into the mind of the players. Matt Clark's now thinking, shake them off. What you panicking for? You're winning your darts.
100.
Raymond Smith now taking the dart. It's now a 3-0-1 game. Nico, what is going on?
He's going to switch. Oh, he's not. I was convinced he was going to go to the 17s because previously in the week, that's what he's been doing. It's a great standard of a final. There you can see 3 180s in this final. And the averages are very, very
45.
healthy. But Matt Clark falters.
Raymond, you require 161.
And Raymond Smith has got 6 from here to write his name into MODUS Super Series history.
Finally, I've called something right. I just had the feeling Matt Clark wouldn't have it all his own way after dominating his darts.
65.
And that leaves a 2-dart combination. Matt Clark on 255. There's the breath. He'll feel like it's all away, but you've got one chance, Matt. The biggest 180 of your life right now. And all of a sudden now he's have to go downstairs. Now it's the connotations. If he stays there, he leaves a bogey.
134.
That was a gamble.
You require 96.
Is the gamble going to pay off, though? Because Raymond Smith has the first shot for the title. He's going to stay straight and go for double 8 and win it! Raymond Smith is the man! The guru thinks his way to the end, and he gets it done! £20,000 belongs to him! The gamble of coming across the planet has paid off, and he will be on a flight back to Australia in a few hours' time. And he doesn't even want to keep his own darts. He's given them to a fan in the front row, but now he can afford a new set. The biggest paycheck possible from the MODUS Super Series belongs to the guru, Raymond Smith. Wonderful performance. Averaged well. The confetti is everywhere. And unfortunately for Superman, he found his kryptonite in Raymond Smith. Good memories of that Super Series 2 showdown. It doesn't seem that long ago. I know it was, what, 5-6 weeks ago? But what a smash and grab job it was for Raymond Smith, who found himself about 50 minutes after that in a taxi on the way to Heathrow Airport to go straight back to Sydney. Incredible stuff. Eventually he would wind up back in Queensland, thinking about his next venture. And I hope we see Raymond back here sometime soon. But as far as Jamie Kelling and Alan Norris are concerned in their challenge in Super Series 3, Alan Norris has got a very good chance of coming through this group, whereas Jamie Kelling now, it's incredibly slim.
Very slim, actually, because if Alan Norris is to beat him here in this
Okay,
one...
first leg, it's Alan to throw first. Game on.
He could only really qualify on legs, and that would mean he would also need Sebastian Bialekci to take some big defeats.
100.
And I just cannot see that happening.
Jamie's a very talented dart player and a very clever bloke.
180.
There you go, starts with a maximum, lovely. I think he will have surveyed the table and he will understand that
100.
the possibility of him getting through is about the width of a piece of paper. But he was here in Champions Week
100.
in Super Series 2. And he was narrowly taken out of Group B by Raymond Smith, funnily enough.
100.
We mentioned yesterday that Jamie Kelling was part of the New Kids on the Hockey, the Phil Taylor programme, which helped unearth people like Michael Smith, Aaron Monk, Joe Cullen,
140.
Wouldn't you love to see something like that come back?
Yes, actually, I would. I think the age group would be
59.
interesting.
Jamie require
Something between
81.
maybe 16 and 18.
56.
Went for the bullseye
Alan, you
because
require
he respects
142.
Norris. Going for the 142. Quite a lot of mind games going on these days for people
25.
when they leave bullseye shots. Some people like to lay up, some people like to go for it.
Game shown the first.
It looks like Jamie's going for it tonight and he gets an immediate break.
To advance further on the new kids on the hockey approach, I think
second leg, it's Jamie to throw first.
we should go 19 and down, so teenagers, so 16 to 19. And I would like to see the format very
100.
similar to a darts version of the X Factor.
Can I ask why?
60.
Because I think it makes some really good content. Little panel of judges that you have a dartboard in front of, they come in, you can let survey, because you'll be able to survey things like the action. Is that action going to
100.
hold up? Is that someone that would be able to stand up to the scrutiny of what is to come within a dart setting?
97.
Who would you put on the panel?
I think you'd have to have a mixture of people. I think you'd have to have people that understand like the technical aspects of the game.
180.
I wonder what Jamie had for dinner. Because I want some.
100. Jamie require
Alan might be
121.
thinking he wishes he had some as well. Because Jamie's not missing much. He spent a bit of time on the stage earlier tonight just calibrating under the lights.
97.
And from my vantage point when I was chatting to him, he looked like he was hitting quite a lot. And in this game, he is.
100. Jamie required 24. Game shown the second leg.
Alan
Jamie
Norris must be
Kelling.
wondering what is going on tonight, because he played Sebastian Bialekci earlier on, who did exactly this. Played
So let me
amazing
Alan
darts
to throw
against him in the early
first.
part of
Game
the
on.
game. Jamie Kelling, yesterday, best average was 88.
100.
He had two averages in the 70. And I don't think he was realistically competitive yesterday. He had only 4 darts at a double,
60.
1 dart at a double, 5 darts at a double in his matches. And he looked a little bit flat.
100.
We do have a nice mix of players coming here to Portsmouth. People who concentrate on their local stuff. Like Jack Waring, for instance.
25.
Or indeed Jamie Kelling. Then there are people who play on various tours. Like Neil Duff, who plays seniors and WDF.
57.
He's over in the Isle of Man this weekend. And then there are people who play on the Challenge Tour and sometimes even play on the Pro Tour
95.
alternate invitations. First leg of the contest where Alan is in command.
180.
He's taking full advantage of it. 3 maximums in this game already.
96. Alan, you require 64.
If you can't beat him, join
Game
him,
shown
Alan
the
Norris.
third leg. Alan
As
Norris.
he chucks that one in the tops. Gets himself back into the game. A good, solid holder throw there
Fourth
in
leg, it's
14
Jamie
darts.
to throw first.
Leaving
Game on.
Jamie Kelling stranded back on 2-2-5. Phil Bars from our social media team has been in touch to say that I'd have a chair. I believe that
100.
maybe he wants me on the panel for the X Factor of dart, the Dart Factor.
36.
I'd happily take one, which is why I've come up with the idea.
I thought you were
100.
going to say that you'd had a tweet about the dart songs for the playlist, because we've had Matt Norris, relation to Alan, in touch, saying something along the lines of
100.
Another Dart in the Board by Pink Floyd, which is a take on Another Brick in the Wall, and Somewhere Only We Throw, which is Similar to that
45.
Keane song, oh, Somewhere Only We Know. So great suggestions there, Matt. Thanks for being in touch. We've also had Total Eclipse of the Dart.
100.
What about rocking all over the world? But for Alan Norris, his could be chucking all over the world because he is a worldwide international dart player. And I'd be very surprised if there's many countries he hasn't thrown darts in.
Yeah, that's true. He's been all over Europe. And he's on his way to Australia pretty soon with Terry Jenkins for a bit of a tour.
95.
I'm very jealous. Especially as he's probably going to run into lots of friends of mine.
99.
So have a
Alan,
wonderful time, Alan.
170.
But before you do that, you've got a small matter of 170 in your way. He thought that had a chance when it left his hand, you know.
He just double-checked as well, just to make sure. Because where the flight is for Alan Norris's darts, he wouldn't have been certain. Could have asked Owen, or he could have told him what it is in. Could have told him what it had left, but he couldn't tell him how to do it.
36.
Oh, the wire bent there.
And he requires 65.
And Norris comes back for 65. I don't know what that hockey's done to you, Al. Giving it right all kicking.
Game's on the fourth
But it works.
leg.
It's now
Alan
2-2
Norris.
after that hot start from Jamie, who averaged 111 in the first two legs. It's now a very even game
first. Game on.
and incredibly competitive, as you can see.
We talk about those quirks that players have on the hockey. Rob Cross does that as well. He
85.
likes to give the hockey a bit of a kick in before a key moment in a game, like going for a double. We see Gary Anderson stand on it.
I still don't know why.
85.
See, I sometimes do that, and what it is when you approach the hockey and the player's still there and you've gone a little bit too quick,
83.
it's just so you keep moving and keep doing something. You tend to find people don't do it in a situation where the board's free in front of them.
Have you noticed Johnny Clayton stands
59.
and jumps on it? So he puts his foot on top of the hockey, then he has a little ferret jump, and then puts his foot behind. But if you listen
95.
to Rob Cross when he's playing on the Pro Tour, you can actually hear him kicking the metallic hockey about 5 or 6 times.
55.
Are we starting to see maybe the reason why Jamie Kelling is in the predicament he's in this table?
58.
All the signs were good in legs 1 and 2, but since then he's been reeled in, and he's maybe paying the price for that valuable miss on the 76 checkout in the previous leg.
82.
This is the perfect time for a 140. He's out of reach now for Alan Norris.
60.
Well, he does have 100 points on the scoreboard, which means you'd probably say Jamie needs to find 2 himself.
45.
I think he was thinking
And
too much about the blocker there.
120.
He could have changed the angle, could have tried to force it through, win the mental battle before the physical battle.
44.
Don't let the blocker define you.
$60.
Now it's Norris's
And
turn
he
for a
requires
76 checkout.
76.
Double 8.
68.
Still a chance
Jamie
for
require
Jamie.
115.
That means the chance is gone.
75.
And it makes you feel sick when you get the 60 with
And
the
you
second dart
require
there.
8.
There was a little glimpse into what we used to call the Alan Norris calisthenics video.
Game shot
As he takes a 3-2 lead. He used to be
Norris.
the kind of player at the back of the stage who would do all this arm wafting. Because he has had some issues with his upper body in the
It's
past.
Jamie to throw first.
And he used to do all sorts of exercises at the back. And it was my commentary colleague Dan Dawson who started calling
43.
it the Alan Norris calisthenics routine.
Maybe he's trying to pitch himself forward for one of these
57.
fitness workout DVDs. You normally see people when they go on these reality TV shows, don't you, like starting to lay the foundations down for their own
98.
DVD. Maybe we'll get the Alan Norris at home system.
140.
It's amazing how many times you see one of those fitness videos, and then about 6 weeks after it's released, you see another photograph where they look
140.
like it never happened. I'm a remarkably cynical individual, as everybody knows.
180.
It's one of the reasons why I trust this game so much, because we have brilliance
140.
and mediocrity, but we have wires to
124.
separate the two. We don't need VAR in darts. We just need brilliance, just like that. Kelling
Alan Norris.
really put Alan under pressure in that last leg, but he was up to it with a huge bullseye checkout of 124. And there you get another look at it. Well, Jamie Kelling now is not going to qualify by the looks of it unless everything goes his way, and he needs Sebastian Bialekci to lose every single game he's got left. And again, Kelling loses with a high 80s average, but the key moments were won by Norris. Speaking of Bialekci, he's up against Conor Heneghan, and it's the Irishman who needs to do Kelling a favour.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where Alan Norris has got the better of Jamie Kelling by 4 legs to 2 in our previous match, including that fantastic 1-2-4 checkout to end proceedings for Chuck, a 12 darter as well. Let's have a look and see how that does, what that does then in terms of the league table here. In Group B, Alan Norris moving on to 8 points, put himself in a really, really good position now in terms of qualification for the finals. Big game ensuing next then between Conor Heneghan and Sebastian Bialekci. We know Heneghan is through. Bialekci can put himself in a very good position to qualify with a win here in the commentary box. Here's Paul Nicholson and Matthew Edgar.
Thanks, Henry. He's still undefeated, is the 24-year-old from Ireland. But this young man now has the destiny of Saturday night in his own hands, because if he beats Conor Heneghan, he will be safe and he will eliminate Trina Gulliver and Jamie Kelling with 6 matches to go. We could have an early bath here, but we are going to play all the games anyway. So it is up to the 19-year-old from Poland to get the job
first leg,
done.
it's Conor to throw first. Game on.
Heneghan does have a really good record against Bialekci this week.
57.
3 wins and 1 defeat. That's not bad. And all of the games have had a minimum of 6 legs.
100.
Do you expect the same, Matt?
Yeah, I don't think there's much to separate the two players here in terms of everything we've seen so far. The consistency,
85.
the doubling, everything is there to suggest that this one is going to go a minimum 6 legs, which is the market that you
60.
tend to get in these sort of fixtures. So I think the over is the play in this one.
We're only about 24 hours away from knowing our semi-finalists in week 5.
59.
Which means we're about 24 hours away from finding out who plays next week.
180.
Chris Mason's going to be back next week, giving you tips and some great insight.
45. Sebastian, you've got 161.
And Henry's going to be back next week.
Henry lives here, doesn't he?
99.
Notice the pause. I couldn't give you the tips and insight. And
Yes, Henry lives in Portsmouth. He is a local boy.
95. Sebastian, you require
Spends
62.
most of his time here with us because he has so much fun. Double 16.
30. Connie
He's had
require
mixed
160.
fortunes on that double so far tonight, isn't he? Oh, how good is that? Somewhat surprising that he didn't get a shot at
Sebastian, require
tops.
32.
I'm the same. If I was Sebastian there, I'd just be thinking, oh no. Might be thinking that right now.
16.
Now, did he throw
Connie
that last
require
dart
20.
while he was still moving? Did he not ground himself enough before he threw it?
10. Sebastian, you
Just
require
look at how
16.
much time it takes him to throw this. So there's a little bit more time there before he threw that dart.
8.
Wow, I thought that was in.
Connie require 10.
He's handing this leg to Conor Heneghan on a plate.
Game shot
there
the
it is.
first leg. Conor Heneghan.
That's a chance missed. And one thing you don't want to do if you're traversing the oche,
Second leg, it's
that means
Sebastian
going
to throw
either left or
first.
right.
Game on.
Because let's face it, nobody goes backwards. And you can't go forwards. If you're moving,
131.
move, ground yourself, then throw. Never throw while you're still moving.
I'm going to throw a curveball your way.
92.
I said no one goes backwards. Lisa Ashton goes backwards. She doesn't actually toe the oche. I believe this is a story that potentially in her area they used to have to throw from like 8 foot.
100.
So when she now throws at 7'9¼ she can't do it. So she gives it a little bit of a distance. And I think, is it Jamie Hughes who might do
59.
it as well?
I think Stephen Bunting has in the past. I don't think he does it now. One of the benefits of doing that is that you don't ruin your right shoe if you're right-handed, because
60.
if you speak to most dart players who play a lot of darts, you'll see that their lead foot or their lead shoe tends to get more damaged than the other one because they're constantly touching an ocky.
Your favourite thing in darts is on. The 350 and
79.
6.
Conor Heneghan 170.
Oh, well. It's only been done in the last 2 years
85.
and a month.
Sebastian Bialekci 131.
Andy Jenkins and Jim McEwen have done it. But this is double 16 again.
99.
It's the same result.
Conor Heneghan 85.
It felt like he pinched the first leg. It would probably feel the same. It's the same double.
75.
That was quite a
Sebastian
speculative
Bialekci,
effort, wasn't it?
32.
Didn't really give it a proper look.
Game shot on the
This time
second
Bialekci
leg.
does find double
Sebastian
16.
Bialekci.
A young man that doesn't give much away, but even he right there was looking to the heavens as if to say, where have you
Bialecki's
been,
Conor
double
to throw
16?
first.
Oh, a little rhyme there as well. Where have you been, double 16?
Sounds like a song, doesn't it? Any more songs
95.
come in?
No, I've not got any coming in. No songs.
Well, get your tweets in. If we're going to make a Super Series playlist, what would the songs be?
140.
You've just got to take a famous, well-known song that we'll know and change it to make it a bit darty.
137.
One of my favourite changes was the Don't Go Breaking My Heart.
140.
Switch to Don't Go Breaking John Part.
Here's me thinking you were going to say, don't go breaking my dart, and you say, don't go
125.
breaking John Part. How do you break John Part?
Break his throw.
Oh, see, I took that a very literal sense.
85.
So every
Conor
time you watch John Part
144.
play now, you're just going to be thinking, don't go breaking John Part.
Couldn't if I tried.
50. Sebastian Bialekci 136. $58. Conor Heneghan 94.
Now, bullseye or 18s? There's your answer.
Game
And he has
shot
the
on
answer.
Third leg. Conor Heneghan.
Don't leave Heneghan on double top tonight. He's got that air of
Fourth leg,
invincibility, hasn't
Sebastian
he?
to throw first. Game on.
And we have had people go through the entire schedule in Group B undefeated before. I wonder if
85.
Conor was going to add his name to that list. It's very rare. We've never had anybody go undefeated in Group A. We've had people go undefeated in Group C and B, but that's no guarantee of success.
57. 140.
Just looks so likely when that first dart sits up in the top of the bed. You just expect.
We were talking to somebody this morning about Conor's action, weren't we?
85.
How he snaps his head up when he throws every dart. And this person who shall remain nameless said if I threw like that,
140.
I'd probably have a sore neck. But it's natural to him. And it's natural to Johnny Clayton as well, because he does it, maybe not to the same degree as Conor.
99. Conor Heneghan
But he has a
121.
slight jolt of the neck every time he throws the dart. Oh, double 16.
89.
Nudges the wire. And he's playing it roughly the same level that he found in game 2 against Trina Gulliver.
45.
You get a
Conor
feeling
Heneghan,
about certain
32.
games, don't you? And we looked earlier on
Game shot on the fourth leg. Conor
at
Heneghan.
who is watching now, and we were saying how it feels like they're not playing too well, but they was up by 100 average.
Fifth leg, it's Conor
And
to
then we're
throw
looking at
first.
Conor
Game
Heneghan
on.
right now, and I thought he'd be up there. I thought this is looking like an average around 100, and it's at the 92 mark.
Yeah, I think you better be referencing
140.
Mike Warburton's display at the back end of Group C. But this is a good performance, not just for Conor and his confidence,
100.
but it is good for Trina and for Jamie, because they would still be in the hunt if he was to beat the pole.
93.
I think they've got a big task on their hands there, though, because they are going to have to come through Sebastian themselves.
81.
A guy who averaged 88.21 for yesterday in Group A. Played all 3 days. 93, 84 and 89.
98.
His averages on those days. So he's always around about that mid-80s to high 80s. That's going to take some beating.
55.
One of the things I like about Sebastian, and I've learned that about him this week, is that he does have... Hold the phone.
145.
It's like he's got a bingo card and he's got things he wants to check off this week. He still hasn't got a 170. My point about Bialekci, it can wait.
95. Connie required 25.
Sebastian leaves a 170, but I have a sneaky feeling he's not going to get a look at it.
Nine.
How wrong
Sebastian,
can you be?
Require
It is the one thing that is
170.
missing this week. We've had the 9 data, we've had that Bull 18 Bull. We've had a 167, a 164. But we're going to have to keep waiting
Connie
for the
requires
170.
16.
Yeah, we have had a 167.
Game shot and the match.
We've had a 164.
Conor
We've had a
Heneghan.
161. We haven't had a 170, but we've got a 4-1 victory for Conor Heneghan. And he is still undefeated in this group after 6 games. He took advantage of a somewhat under par Bialekci there. Only an 83 average on this occasion, but maybe it was the misses at double early in the match that cost him. He will have to rediscover his confidence a little bit later on when he comes back to play Jamie Kelling in Game 7. We will reach the halfway point next when Jamie takes on Trina Gulliver in Game 5.
This is the MODUS Super Series. $182.
Available 6 days a week, 50 weeks of the year, and you can be here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth, up close and personal to see all of the action unfold. And on this hockey, we've seen plenty of great moments, haven't we, since September. Last week, we actually saw the highest winning average of anyone in a final. That came from Scott Taylor. That was against Andy Bolton to seal his place in Champions Week as the Week 4 winner. Let's delve into the highlights of that one. It was Glendowan in commentary once again with some other guy. Never heard of him before? For the final was Scott Taylor is saving his best for the final. He is not just running his way possibly now to the £5,000 top prize. He's got into a Formula 1 car 96. And he is in 5th gear going through the parabolica towards the finishing line.
Para what?
It's a famous corner.
140.
I'm an egghead. You wouldn't think so at the quiz on Monday night, but there we go. Look at this, Henry.
95.
I don't think many people would have predicted this after 3 legs, especially the way this man has played this week.
131.
Has that semi-final just taken too much out of him? Or should we be looking at how fantastically well Scott Taylor 82. Is playing and continues to play? Let's give the credit to Scott Taylor.
Sometimes you just run into an immovable object, and sometimes you just got to congratulate and shake the opposition's hand.
100.
And it might be a case that Andy Bolton has to do that. But of course, at the Super Series, anything is possible. Don't write Bolton's obituary yet. However, Scott Taylor is making a frantic dash to the finishing line.
And you require 130.
This has to go.
It's bull for Bolton.
105.
Scott Taylor, 48.
Scott, you require 48.
For your biggest win of your career.
Double 16.
That's game
and it is
shot.
Super
and your Week 4 winner of the MODUS Super Series. Scott Taylor
has produced an unbelievable performance to qualify for Champions Week. It is an average of 109 to get the better of Andy Bolton by 4.
And that was only 6 days ago. We will get more scenes like that sometime tomorrow, I'm sure. We might even get bigger scenes. We hope you can join us tomorrow night. If you've got tickets, we look forward to seeing you. If you haven't, you can still come if you wish. Dotshop.tv to get your complimentary seats. And you may still get to see the 10-time Women's World Champion, but she's going to have to get a move on. But fortunately for both Jamie and Trina, Conor Heneghan has just done them a favour by beating Sebastian Bialekci. That means he can still be caught.
Okay, first leg, it's Jamie to throw first. Game on.
When these two met yesterday, Trina Gulliver took the points. They are the only points that this pair have managed to take so far. Bialekci, Alan Norris and Conor Heneghan beating the pair of them. But one of them has to get 2.
60.
And if it is Trina Gulliver to take them, she will move on to 4 and will just be tapping Sebastian Bialekci on the shoulder. Just 2 points behind. But Jamie Kelling, who opened his last matchup pretty strong, is doing exactly the same in this one.
You said something really apt to me
60.
when we were walking back to our accommodation last night, Matt. You noticed that Trina after her first game, started to throw a little harder. If you look at where
137.
her usual miss is in the scoring zone here, it's below the treble 20, right there.
43. Jamie,
So do you think
require
that
100.
a little bit of extra force is needed tonight as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
60.
she does have an action that comes slightly offline, which means you can a bit more force, a bit more pace, a bit more push will allow that, but it has to be done on the natural arc.
40.
It can't be something that is
Jamie requires
forced.
40.
Otherwise, you get flyer darts.
Game shot on the
That first dart was
leg.
just to get the 20 out of the
Jamie
way.
Kelling.
Ultimately, a really good 14 darter.
Second leg, it's Trina to throw
Deceptively
first.
tall is Jamie
Game
Kelling. It's the kind of person you would expect to maybe be at
45.
centre-back for your team, or even in a rowing boat. An athletic-looking guy. He's not perfect. He's a Man U fan.
60.
I don't hold it against him. He's a lovely, lovely chap. Is Trina a football fan, do you know?
50.
Not that I know of.
I always like to hear things about dart players that you've been around for a long time. Things that you don't know.
85.
I didn't know that Trina used to be a carpenter and a welder, apparently.
I'm sure we could get plenty of information sent in to us, because I know, like, with Jack
97.
Waring, who played in the morning sessions, he had a lot of support messaging us in from around the area. Trina from the same sort of
60.
area, Southam, not too far away from Leamington Spa. And I know that there's a lot of people from the Warwickshire area that will be tuning in tonight. So if you can give us a little
60.
nugget of information, something that might not be commonly known, we would love to share it on your behalf.
180.
Jamie actually made me laugh when we were talking about Roy Keane earlier. Just striking up a bit of a conversation about football.
40.
And he said,
Jamie require
"It's your job."
116.
because that's one of Roy Keane's favourite lines about footballers who do remarkable things. It's your job. As a dart player,
76.
it's your job to hit doubles.
If it's your job to hit 180s, he's doing that well. That part of his game is not a problem. He's got 2 in this game, 6 so far
85.
in his whole campaign.
Jamie requires 40.
Despite being bottom of the table with no points, the biggest 180 hitter in the group.
20.
Not hitting tops,
Trina
though.
require 124.
And it was this shot that cost Jamie Kelling in his first match. Is it going to cost him again? Bullseye.
79.
Not on this occasion.
Jamie required 20.
Well, that could be kind. Might just need to go a little bit to his left.
10.
But that's too far left.
Trina required 45.
Serve up. A little bit of punishment. Tops. To win a leg she was not in contention for.
25.
Now
Jamie
Jamie goes for
required
the
10.
next door neighbour. It's an ideal marker. That's even better. And
No
how has he
score.
missed that? That is so
Trina
unfortunate.
required 20.
Just catches a tiny bit more tungsten. And he will be 2-0 up.
To move right across the hockey here to try and get in. That's hit the flight.
10.
And that's an air shot.
Jamie required 10. Game shot on the
That's a
second
great
leg.
shot from Jamie.
Jamie Kelling.
Not the best leg, but he doesn't care right now. It's not about averages right now. It's about getting legs.
Third
And
is
his biggest
Jamie to throw
headache,
first. Game
apart from the points, of course, is his leg count, which currently is at -11.
So we've heard your
59.
Roy Keane impression.
Oh, that's the one that can be broadcast.
How's your Bobby George impression? Because
100.
Jamie Kelling is the biggest hitter of 180s in this group, but yeah, he's bottom of the table on -11, and I'm sure there's an expression that Bobby George has that might be quite
82.
suitable for that situation.
I learned a very long time ago to respect Bobby George and to never mimic him
55.
because he's almost a national treasure. But have you ever spent any time with Bobby?
I have recently at the
140.
Seniors World Championships, and I can't repeat a lot of the things he said to me.
Yep, that sounds about right. But he's got some very interesting
81.
ideas about finishing routes. And you think about someone who's the 1980 News of the World champion, and he was in the world final that year as well. You think, surely
100.
40, 50 years later, he's not going to have any sort of insight into the modern game. You think again. He's got some very good ideas.
89.
Some interesting
Jamie
insight
McCall,
into
120.
uses of the board in certain respects of scoring. He's way ahead of his time.
Game shot.
Oh, wonderful from Jamie, though. And maybe he's been
Jamie
listening to
Kelling.
Bobby. 180s for sure. And he's hitting his dabbles.
Fourth leg, it's Trina to throw
It's
first.
a dreadful Essex
Game on.
accent, honestly. I need shooting.
Is that where it was? Essex, was it?
Apparently.
58.
Well, that means I now give a free hit to the referee, Owen Binks, to do his Geordie accent.
100.
He does do a Geordie accent, his own, but it's a little bit squeaky. Makes me sound like I'm in a mix of The Viz and Geordie Shore.
Is that when you
59.
just keep saying roller coaster?
Something like that, yeah.
123.
This is turning out to be an ideal kind of game for Jamie. It's steady as well, averaging 86. That's almost what you would expect from him.
42.
And when you consider he's missed 11 darts at double, it really should be a lot better.
Trina's
60.
finding it a little bit hard work at the moment tonight. Lost her opening game to Conor Heneghan. That was 4-0. Didn't even go a dart at a double in that one. She has had
60.
opportunities in this one. 6 darts at the double. But only the one score of 100 or more. And that's just not going to cut it.
3 words that I see on my social media feeds a lot because of what I follow.
82.
Golf is hard. Darts is hard. But we have people here at the MODUS Super Series who sometimes make it look very, very easy. It is far from that.
135. Jamie Rock, 136.
Another. That's worked out pretty well.
116. Training Rock, 147.
Maybe the last chance to save the match. And the halfway point of tonight is upon us.
59.
And we know a little
Jamie
bit more
required 20.
about what is possible. What is possible is that Jamie Kelling can still qualify, because he still needs favours from the likes of the people in the top 3. Because if they can restrict Sebastian Bialekci to 6 points, he could still be caught. Trina Gulliver will stay on 2 points and her leg difference will plummet to -13. But Kelling now overtakes her in the table and still has a slim chance of being in the top 3 by the end of the night. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, it's 2 players from the top 3 going head-to-head with the already qualified Conor Heneghan up against Chuck.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where we have reached the halfway mark when it comes to the action here in Group B. And so, prime time, Matthew Edgar is going to give us his assessment of what we've seen so far. And as far as Conor Heneghan is concerned, well, he's just started where he left off last night.
Exactly what was expected, and I'm sorry, I've got to be boring and say this is what we expected to see. I said that I don't think the table's going to move much in terms of those positions. I don't think it does from now. I think that last result as well, going the way of Jamie Kelling, has just made that even more secure. I think for the neutral, you'd probably want to see Trina go on to 4 there and keep that a close race, but with just 2 rounds of fixtures to go, there is only 4 points left to play for. So the only way this could happen is strong wins from the 2 at the bottom, and Sebastian Bialekci is going to need to take big defeats, probably 4-0 in both.
Well, Alan Norris has also found his way through on 8 points. And I don't know about you, but it still feels as if Alan's got another gear to go. Yeah,
he's playing well. The reason you think that is because of the way he's throwing the darts, how smooth he's throwing them with the sort of rhythm of peak Alan Norris. We've seen him here before. We stood up here probably ourselves and chatted about Alan Norris's throw breaking down. He was doing like some yoga at the back of the stage at certain points. He was throwing darts all over. He's hitting 12s. He was pulling them low. Everything was breaking down. I was trying to make that point yesterday before Conor Heneghan rudely interrupted me with a 9-dart leg. But the point was that Alan Norris is throwing the darts with rhythm, with pace, with an aura, with a confidence, and a way that I expect watching him, and I'm sure he certainly expects when he's throwing them. And you must do to be able to dig out the stuff he dug out, like that bullseye finish to win the match.
Well, talking about Conor Heneghan and 9-dart finishes, why don't we remind you what happened last? It actually came in the fixture these two played on the oche behind us. Conor Heneghan, well, he was the man once again. This is how he did it.
To beat in this group, because we do have Trina as well.
I mean, that is a big game, that next one, Trina and Jamie Kelling. Both of those have played 2 fixtures. They've both lost both their fixtures, and they're both on -6. One of them is going to be bottom of the table on 0 points after 3 matches. Conor Heneghan's just had his throw broken and then hits back with a maximum visit. But this is the best I have seen Alan Norris play for some time. And I don't just mean because he's hitting all the trebles like Conor Heneghan firing in for a second 180, a back-to-back 180. He's the last player to hit a 9-darter, the only man to do it under this roof.
Connie, 141.
They say history has a habit of repeating itself.
Can it? Double 12. He's only going to do it again! He really is the man! He's the only man who's hit a 9-darter under this roof, and now he's got 2!
Conor Heneghan with the 9-darter in this very fixture last night, and he heard that that VT was being played behind us, and he actually said to us on the balcony, fancy another?
In which I said yes. So he's told us he was going to do that one in the first place, didn't he? He went to production and says, I'm going to give you a 9-darter. Paul Nicholson picked up on the point that he's actually changed the shirt to the one he did before. So it's like he's trying to play a bit of 9-dart snap.
9-dart snap. Talking about 9-darters, let's show you a list of 9-darters we've seen in this particular competition. This is since March 2021 when we moved into Southampton. We did have a couple when we were back at home during lockdown in 2020. The first actually came from James Richardson in the last leg against his son. That is just cruel, isn't it?
Well, if you think that's cruel, look at number 9. Danny van Tripe hit one against Josh Richardson. So he's actually been involved in 2 of them, but he's hit neither. The same there for Scott Williams. He had one done against him by Richie Burnett and by Martin Adams. And there's certain little patterns in there that I like. Like, look at number 2. James Richardson hitting that against Richie Burnett. Then Richie Burnett hit the next one against Scott Williams. There's some interesting little patterns and some interesting snap in there as well.
And of the last 5 9-darters, Conor Heneghan has hit 3 of them, and he's just promised us he's going to hit another one in this match against Alan Norris. So we know exactly what we're going to see in this one.
Set your phones to screen record because you're about to see a 9-darter, apparently.
Apparently so. Is he as good as his word? We are about to find out. No pressure. Let's join our commentary team. Matty Edgar's going to make his way down. To join Paul Nicholson.
I'm just going to have to ask Matt how you set your smartphone to screen record, because I don't know how to do that, Matt. Well, at least these guys know what to do when it comes to throwing the darts at the board. If Heneghan really does hit a 9-darter in this game, he may be some sort of doctor of darts or some sort of darting genius. Because every now and again, darters will pitch their tent and say, I'm going to do this. A bit like when Peter Wright said, I'm going to win the match play and I'm going to win the Worlds as well.
Okay, first leg, it's Alan to throw first. Game on.
But for a player to come and say that he's going to hit another 9-darter, well, let's find out. There's only one way to find out. On what's been
135.
an interesting evening, to say the least. We could have been watching this match right now with the possibility of the top 3 already secured. Not just yet.
100.
Sebastian Bialekci, who will take on Jamie Kelling in the next game. It will all be on that one. Not just for Sebastian, but also for Trina Gulliver.
180. 30. 134.
I've had a text this evening from a very good friend of ours, Matt, who played in the Champions Week of Super Series 2. Everybody will be happy to know that we've heard from Endo,
52.
who's watching a bit of late-night darting action.
Game
and
shot
seeing Alan Norris go up by 1 leg to 0 in 12 darts. That thing that you were saying about the pace,
Second
the
leg,
timing,
it's Conor to throw first.
the ferocity, the likelihood and the confidence of the throw right now, proven in that first leg.
60.
You know, I'm not seeing this from Alan Norris for some time. And I mean, like, 5 years, 4 years. He has struggled with various issues, some physical. Does have a bit of treatment on his back and his shoulder, just to keep him playing and ticking over. He would love to grace one of those seniors championships on the TV stages, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him lining up for the golden ticket match against Phil Taylor later on
95
in this month.
I'll be fascinated to see who gets that. Could be the man with the golden points.
140.
He will obviously be going for those other seniors titles as well, the Masters and the Match Play later on this year.
134.
Just strike me as one of those players that once he gets onto that senior stage, I think he'll do better than he does in the qualifiers. I think the one match format will suit him.
Does Hino stay on the 60? He didn't have to.
56. And then you require 99.
Oh, the old red balloons shot. 13's first. Pick the bones out of that one.
91. Conor require 56.
Double top. He's been brilliant at that double all night.
Game shot on the second leg.
Just when he needs a plan B, double 10 comes to his aid. 1-1.
They'll get Alan to throw first.
I'm not surprised that Conor Heneghan is actually very confident in the 9-darters, not just because he hit one just yesterday and he's hit 2 previous in this environment before, but I've just received a tweet. And Conor Heneghan actually hit one in his hometown.
60.
In between those 9-darters he's done here, in what I can only call a James Richardson. He's done it against a family member. He hit a 9-darter against his brother Martin in a semi-final.
Are you trying to tell me
134
that he's hit 4 9-darters in the last year? His first one being last summer in Southampton.
140.
He's at 2 in here and 1 at home. In local stuff. That's outrageous.
Maybe we need to unretire the nickname
99.
009 that was originally James Wade's.
Well, I've got to think of something with a 9-darter
94.
connotation because Hino isn't very good. It can be an affectionate nickname, but as far as a darting nickname is concerned, it needs to improve. And you know what, Conor?
96. Alan, you require 67.
I feel like it's got to include a 9 somewhere in it because he's a 9-dart king. That was not the target there for Alan Norris. He was looking at the treble 9 for tops.
Correct.
He's 42 scored, leaving him 25. Leaves him double 10, which would have been the breakdown if he'd have missed tops.
Alan
so
Norris.
I do like that play. He was trying to get on that route and those targets. And I said Alan Norris is
Conor
playing
to
well.
throw first.
Henry said Alan Norris appears to be playing well, but seems to have an extra gear. Is this the gear
100.
Henry Deacon thought Alan Norris had on the gearbox? He is averaging 106 and climbing.
Here's the thing about what we believe is the top level of Alan Norris. We've both seen
70.
him have success in both the BDO, the WDF, and of course the PDC at the back end of his playing career up to now.
26.
Well, just looking through the record books, he's only averaged more than what he's doing right now.
133.
He had a 112 average in a 5-leg game at the Finder Darts Masters back in 2012.
140.
11 years ago. Beating Denny Boss, 112.17. But his next best after that
96.
was in a Players' Championship against Michael Smith, the current world champion, 106.24. I'm quite surprised by that, actually. Thought he might have had one of those
140.
massive displays in his
102.
PDC years, but he didn't.
He does strike you as a sort of player that would have one of those sort of 115s on the record books.
54. Alan, you require 60.
I'm going to ask you a question in a second, actually. Well, let's see
on
him
the
go
fourth
3-1 up
leg.
first. He
Alan
might be the
Norris.
person to break the undefeated streak of Conor Heneghan. But if you remember rightly, yesterday he was in trouble
Fifth leg, it's Alan
in the
to
same
throw
spot,
first.
and
Game
Heneghan was able to get out of it. When was the last time you saw somebody average something and it really made you
68.
think, wow, that is ridiculous?
Steve Beaton last year against John Worsley in a European Tour
60.
qualifier when he recorded his highest ever average despite being 58 years old.
Yeah, 118, wasn't it?
100.
Yeah, it was, and then he followed it up with a couple of hundreds as well, not too long after. He is breaking all Steve Beaton records despite the fact he keeps
125.
aging.
And he's had his highest ever stage average this year. But I remember
93.
Jose de Souza winning a first-round match in a Players' Championship. And I looked at his average after
40.
he won that game, and I actually went to the tournament director and asked if it was wrong. I thought it was a technical glitch. 127. When I saw it, I didn't believe it. But it was
60.
real. We haven't seen anything like that since. I do believe that's the highest average ever
134.
in PDC action on the Dart Connect system. If you want to check it out, you can find it.
100. Conor, you record 142.
But you might not be able to find it during this match because that miss here, well, Conor Heneghan, it's a great setup,
Alan, you require
but
80.
he might not come back for it. He did this yesterday. The overly aggressive
40.
route and
Conor, you
burning
require
a dart
40.
off the board.
I don't believe in it, but it's all up to the people at the hockey and what they do. And that might be
30.
the end of the streak for Conor.
Alan, you require 40.
Just the one double top this time. hits it first dart. He might even top the 100 mark.
Game
Let's
shot
find
of the
out.
match.
He's
Alan
very,
Norris.
very close. Not quite there. 99.88 with 80% on the doubles. So it took Alan Norris's best performance of the week to take him out. And that will get Norris to 10 points in the table. He is secure for Saturday night now. But look at that display. A lot to admire. But Heneghan, maybe just a little bit too relaxed in that one. And no 9-darter. Maybe he's got to stop doing the predictions for the rest of the night. We've got more coming your way. It's a big game for Jamie Kelling up against Sebastian Bialekci. Bialekci wins. It's all said and done.
Kelling, and board 2, Craig Nixon, Robert Young.
The amateur darts circuit has given plenty of players the avenue to really explore the amateur side of the game and help players qualify for this. The MODUS Super Series saw Jack Waring this week represent the amateur darts circuit. We've seen winners come from the ADC system in the previous series. 3 players made it through to Champions League via the ADC system. Colin Osborne, Adam Mould and Adam Warner, who's gone on to achieve fantastic things now in the PDC system. Talk about players achieving brilliant things. We saw a fantastic performance from Alan Norris last time out to finally depose of Conor Heneghan in this group B. Let's have a quick check and see where the lad lies then in the table following 6 games of 10 in Group B. Conor Heneghan out in front on 12 points. That lead has been cut down to 2 points to Alan Norris on 10. Both of those players are through. Sebastian Bialekci on 6. He can rubber stamp his way into tomorrow night's final with victory here. He takes on Jamie Kelling. This is the 7th game for both of these players. Interesting one at that. So let's hand down to the commentary box and join Paul Nicholson and Matthew Edgar.
Yeah, thanks, Henry. We're just doing a bit of calculating right now as to how Jamie Kelling can actually get through. As far as Trina Gulliver is concerned, she's a further 6 legs back, so it's looking like that's that for her. But Jamie, you don't just need to beat Bialekci. You've got to take him apart the way you did Trina Gulliver by 4 legs to 0. Because that way, you would get yourself on a leg difference of -3. And Bialekci would be reeled back to
it's
+1.
Jamie to throw first. Game on.
You do get the feeling it's either got to be 4-0 or 4-1. Otherwise, that's it.
It has to be 4-0. It has to be 4-0. Then Bialekci has to lose 4-0 to Trina.
45.
With Kelling winning 4-0. It all has to be 4-0s.
Well, we got there in the end. I'm glad I've got him right next to me. I was speculating.
59.
He's got the numbers. I'm assuming Sebastian's not going to know this.
60.
He tends to keep himself to himself in the practice room. And so far tonight, he's had a 4-1 win over Alan Norris.
97.
And he thought at that point that maybe this group was going to be sealed and signed and delivered in a matter
45.
of maybe an hour. But since then, he's lost to Conor Heneghan by 4 legs to 1. And the results have just not been good for his fingernail biting.
34. $140. 96.
I've always had this rule, you know, when it comes to the Super Series. Let's see what happens
140.
after this match, and then we'll calculate it when it's a bit easier. There have been scenarios on a Saturday night
59.
where people can't be split,
requires 71.
and that dreaded 9-dart shootout comes into play. I wonder if we're going to get one this week. And remember, in week 12 of Super Series 1,
13.
it was our very own Chris Mason from the commentary box who won a 9-dart shootout and ended up winning the whole thing.
Game shot on the first leg.
But Sebastian, who wins the first leg at 17 darts. And you can see what Jamie thinks of that. He gives it the full Dracula there.
To throw first.
Do like watching a 9-dart shootout, I've got to be honest.
Did you watch the first one?
45.
It was Lee Shewan, Andy Hamilton, and Ryan Finesse.
I didn't see it live, but I watched it back on YouTube.
55.
What was really funny about that night was that our usual producer was not here that night. They were doing something else.
134.
And they had to liaise with myself to try and get everything ready for it. And backstage, Conan Whitehead
55.
was here trying to qualify. And he was more interested in how the 9-dart shootout was going to be done. He was the most excited person in the place.
58.
I think it's fair to say that Jamie Kelling is starting to get frustrated from losing the line. He's had a dart slip in the 5 in his first 2 visits. And the first one goes in the 1. I think that's just starting to get to him a little bit now.
42.
You never know if it's getting to Sebastian. He's very poker-faced.
I wouldn't want to play him at darts,
140.
at chess, a staring contest. He's got the same face, whether it's New Year's Eve, Christmas Day, his birthday,
180. Jamie, 170.
International Men's Day, or whatever. He is just the ultimate
58.
darting robot.
42.
I think there's a lot of dart players out there who could learn a thing or two from Sebastian.
Game on the second leg.
And that's consistency for you. It's another 17 darter. Jamie is very much looking
Jamie
at the exit door now.
Game on.
Not providing much resistance at the moment to this performance of Sebastian Bialekci.
100.
He's pretty much a par performance. He thought that wasn't going to stay in, and he did mention he's got the aura of a quite sporty, athletic guy, and we just got to see his dash as he dashed to the board there to ensure that the dart counts, because the dart needs to be collected or retrieved.
83.
Or even simpler, disturbed in the board for it to count.
Now that's one thing you don't see on the Oki. A lot of on-Oki injuries.
180.
We saw Kirk Shepherd once twist his ankle on the Grand Slam stage because he got a bit excited.
81.
Robert Thornton accidentally trod on the edge of the Oki against Phil Taylor at the Premier League.
100.
Confirm to everybody around the UK who's watching, just be careful out there this weekend because the weather's not particularly pretty.
100. Sebastian, you've got 121.
Be smart. Stay in and watch the darts. This could be a little bit better than 17 darts.
107. Jamie, you've got 137.
I'm interested to see the play here from Bialekci, because he's split this sometimes.
66.
Sometimes he's gone straight for it. There's been no
14.
real pattern of play.
Double four.
Game
now we'll find out what he does with this
Sebastian Bialekci.
Because he did fall off a little bit when he had a lead like that earlier.
It's Sebastian to throw first. Game on.
Jamie works very hard in his game. But when you're in a game like this where no matter what you try, it doesn't work, it's ultimately very frustrating. I think you're right, Matt. I think it's the line that's getting his goals.
121.
Missing's not great, and it's frustrating as it is, but at least if you're staying
96.
straight, there's positivity. If you're going into the ones and the fives as much as he is, he probably feels like there's something wrong with his release. And if you feel there's something wrong with the release, you don't have any confidence. And I think that's what that little arm motion there was just symbolising.
Apologies for the delay. Maybe just a score correction here. I've been having a little look through Sebastian's career to find out his personal best average. It was a PDC Development Tour match against
140.
Jim Mostyn. He averaged over 105. That was last year. And this year, he's already
60.
had a 104.75 in a qualifier for the International Darts Open in Riesa.
55. 57. Sebastian, you require 110.
Did actually qualify for that event as well, beating Gabor Jagica in the final. So he's going possibly
54
to Saturday night. In fact, we know he's going to Saturday night. There's no way he's going to relinquish this advantage now.
45.
He's also going to East Germany.
Sebastian, you require 56.
at the end of the month to play in PDC ranked action as a qualifier.
Game shot.
And he's going to Saturday night courtesy of a
Sebastian
very
Bialekci.
solid display of 4-0 against Jamie Kelling, who will have one match remaining against Conor Heneghan in Game 9. But that will be his last match here in Super Series 3. Jamie just not firing on all cylinders there, not finding the line that he wanted, but Bialekci, with a typically steady display, just manages to get it done once again. When we come back, it will be Trina Gulliver up against Norris, and a battle of two players who have lived in Warwickshire in their life.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where before the break we saw a convincing victory for Bolt Sebastian Bialekci, and he definitely lived up to his name type, didn't he, winning by 4 legs. Now let's see what that does then in terms of the table in Group B. Conor Heneghan top of it on 12, Norris on 8, Norris on 10, Bialekci on 8. So we know that they're going to be into tomorrow night's final come what may. Next up for us is Norris in action against Trina Gulliver. Now the important bit going into the end of the seeding will be in terms of guaranteeing position in terms of the group. The top placed player will be placed in another group and so on and so forth. And they're going to be joined by the players from Group C earlier on this morning, which we saw a thrilling group, didn't we, there? Mike Warburton, the victor in the end. 16 points from his 10 matches. Reece Robinson coming in second. Scott Baker made a charge on Friday here at the Super Series, but it was that solitary win on Thursday which came to cost the mod in the end. So those players will join will join the players who won, of course, on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, respectively. We move into Group B now, and looking forward to all the action. Here's Paul Nicholson and Matthew Edgar.
Yes, it's all done now, but the positions of the players in the table, not just done yet, because Norris could still win the group. If he wins and Conor Heneghan loses in the next game against Jamie Kelling, it could be Norris who wins Group B, and that will, like Henry said, change his position in
Okay, first leg, it's Trina
finals.
to throw first. Game on.
Henry asked me this morning, there's a name that stands out at the moment, somebody will go through, and I said, I feel like I'm waiting until the groups get decided
41.
because I think we're going to end up with a favourable group and sort of the old group of death.
140.
Really impressed with Alan Norris. He's throwing, and it's not so much just... It's easy
60.
to look at it and see where the darts are landing and saying he's playing well. But I'm talking about watching Alan Norris on the right-hand side of the screen, where Alan Norris is, not where the darts are landing.
60.
That side of the screen is so much better.
With some people of his age, I hope he doesn't mind me saying that,
60.
when they've had success in different systems and they fall off the elite list, which he has done over the last few years.
125.
It's very easy for people in the sports media to cast him out to sea. To basically say, you've had your time,
100.
somebody else's turn. But what with the MODUS Super Series and the World Seniors and some other things coming along,
100.
is there life in the old dog yet? I think that's been answered the last couple of days.
60. And it requires 76.
Doesn't need to go 11 on the ball. So he's gone for treble 7 for tops.
56.
Reason for that, Trainer back on 180. We know she cannot take that one out, so Alan Norris gets to pick a more favourable double, a double of
100.
choice.
Alan, you require 20.
Gives the Oki a kick, and he gives
Game
it a
shot the
stand.
first leg.
He did a
Alan
Gary
Norris.
Anderson and a Rob Cross in the same setup. But we see players drop off the tour, and
Second leg, it's Alan to
we
throw
very
first.
rarely see a player
Game on.
return back to it. And I think a lot of that is down to when you've had levels of success like Alan Norris has. He reached a final at Lakeside.
60.
And he reached a quarter-final at Alexandra Palace, along with many other events along the way, including a European Tour win. That I think the levels
140.
are judged against those highs, not against the 2023 version of Alan Norris is not being judged against a World Championship quarter-finalist.
68.
Success for Alan Norris and what we've seen of him recently is getting through to Saturday. But because of the level of success he's had before, it doesn't feel like an achievement.
41.
I know what you mean, and that's very insightful, actually, because it's not as if he can do any more than he's already done. His job this week was to make Saturday.
97.
He's done that job, and we'll judge him on what he does tomorrow. As far as Trina's concerned,
100.
there have been some bright sparks over the last couple of days, but we can possibly judge where she's at when she goes to Blackpool at the end of the month to take on Martin Adams in the Champion of Champions in seniors darts.
You feel that this process was all in preparation for that. Well, she's hitting that point of the day now where she just starts to play a
100,
better
and you
darts. The
require
darts are starting to go above the
142.
treble wire as well. She's throwing a little bit firmer. So you sort of feel Alan Norris has got to make use of the advantage while it's there.
120.
Was it
Training
a
require
1-4-2
120.
finish?
Well, he's just as disappointed you there, Matt, because he didn't go bull, treble 14, bull. Trina's going tops.
Game
and taking
shot
out
the second
Shanghai.
leg.
Great
Trina
shot.
Gulliver.
That was her first leg of the night.
Third leg, it's Trina to
Lost
throw
4-0
first.
to Heneghan.
Game
Lost
on.
4-0 to Kelling. And gets her first leg with a really good finish.
That was after Alan Norris just missed out on the 1-4-2.
81.
I've just looked over to the table. I can see Alan Norris has actually got 3 sets of darts on the stage now.
Right, you're not only confusing me now, Alan. You're confusing Matt.
58.
You might even be confusing yourself. Has he got 3 different colours?
I think we might see a switch here. Just deciding which ones to go with.
73.
But if you noticed, he's not picking up the darts until his opponent has stopped throwing. That's a mark of respect.
60.
Because he doesn't want to rattle them together and put his opponent off.
Do you know what I mean about this time of day when Trina starts throwing with authority? She's
34.
throwing with a bit more venom.
That'd be a good nickname for a dart player.
100.
Another snake connotation amongst all of the snaky-like nicknames that we've got already. Cobras,
60.
snake bites.
Asp, that's a snake, isn't it?
It is. I didn't know that until somebody told me, actually.
81.
My friend Daniel Sim in Australia. The rattlesnake.
Nickname made very famous by
59.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh,
60.
Norris has left the 1-4-2 again. He's determined to hit it.
I'm still not sure he's going to go for the Paul Nicholson advised ball, treble
100.
14 ball.
Alan, you require 142.
In an exhibition, you'd probably try it. He's going to try something else. 251s for tops. That's a bit more popular, you would say.
122.
Trina,
Training required
get the lead.
94.
That's 2, so 92 left. Double 16.
78.
Almost takes it. Norris does like to leave double 10 on purpose. If he has choice, he likes to leave the 4 o'clock double.
Game
Oh,
shot
how
on the
good was
third
that?
leg.
I think he hit that from the
Alan
right-hand
Norris.
side. A wonderful shot from Alan. Wasn't sure if it was a break or throw or
We'll
not.
make it Alan to throw
He was
first.
right.
Game on.
Never done any exhibitions with Alan?
I haven't, no. That's,
Yeah, I was fortunate to do one with him in
60.
Shetland. It was one of the best ones I've ever been a part of. It was Alan and Terry Jenkins. Middle of the year
45.
in Shetland. Absolutely gorgeous. And I'm pretty happy to say that that was probably the last time I really performed in an exhibition.
45.
I hit everything that night. I remember Alan and Terry just saying, "This is your show." Things like 130 checkout,
100.
bull, double 15 bull. Everything was coming off. One of those very rare occasions. But the life and soul of that night was definitely Alan Norris.
180.
we haven't had a holder throw yet in this match. Alan Norris did have a dart to
100.
do so. And Trina took out the 120. The second tumpless finish of the group.
100.
It would be some story if Alan was to win this week. We've already seen John Worsley win week 1. Yella Klassen.
60.
He won a little bit earlier in week 3.
116.
And Scott Taylor, you saw a little bit of footage of his win against Andy Bolton from last week. That looks like it's in. And we know that one is for 3-1.
Alan Norris.
This is a great display from Alan, averaging over 90 now.
Fifth leg, it's Trina to throw first. Game on.
Just going back to week 2 as well, Leonard Gates was within a whisker of winning week 2.
180.
180 from Trina. But it was Owen Bates that took week 2. The
60.
pattern of this Super Series has been people who have done things before who are looking to resurrect. But not Owen Bates.
140.
Oh, she was teasing us. No offense to Conor Heneghan, but if Trina had hit a 9-darter, that would have blown social media up.
100.
That's one thing we haven't had yet. 9-darter from a female.
I think we're entering an era where we're not too far away from that happening.
I'd like to see it.
And I think I know who the one who's going to be doing it is.
Do you want me to speculate?
Well, I don't think you're going to need too many guesses to get there.
140.
Rhiannon O'Sullivan. Here's the thing, there are more female players now capable of having these perfect legs than ever. There is no physical reason why a woman cannot be as good as a man. We've always said it. Well, 72 left. And the somewhat old school way of going treble 12.
And you require 101.
There we go. A little bit of a warm-up. 101 coming in. But doesn't really scare it.
33. Training required.
I don't know
40.
about that third dart at all. Is that just one of those darts to try and put the opponent off?
I think he expects this to go. So we'll be disappointed because he should be coming back something much easier than this.
68.
If he does not hit the treble, he will only get one dart.
But one dart is all he needs. And that's another great win for Alan. That will get him to a very good position in this table. He is currently top. But for how long? 88.68 with 57% on the doubles. He bids adieu to Group B. He will be in the finals on Saturday night, so if you're looking forward to watching him again, mark your cards for 7:30 via the MODUS Super Series YouTube channel for Saturday night, because that's when he will be back. But will he be the group winner? It will be down to Conor Heneghan to beat Jamie Kelling in Game 9 to see if that's not the case.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, and as you see, Alan Norris has joined us up here on the balcony to have a chat about his Group B campaign. How would you assess the last couple of days from your perspective?
Well, still a bit dodgy in patches, still hitting too many fives. But no, we're working on the game. We're getting there gradually, step by step. So, yeah, in patches has been good, but, you know, the boys have played really well. You know, I think my best leg of the week, left 86 after 9, and then Conor, yeah, he does his 9. Fair play to him. No, brilliant darts. Same with the first game tonight. Sebastian, who just hit the right things at the right time. Had a decent average, but it's not about averages. I don't really look at statistics. It's more about the W. So the more Ws, the better, and breeds confidence and starts sharpening up your game. So yeah, I'm enjoying the darts. I'm enjoying the game again. So that's the main thing.
We've seen you here a couple of times now at the Super Series, and this time there just feels like there's a different air. Bit, as you say, that confidence is back in your game, and that little bit of swagger's back as well. Yeah.
You know, home life is good. We've just moved up to Scotland. Me, Ellie, and Babsy, the little Jack Russell, and yeah, life's good. Everything's going good at the moment. A lot of hard work, not so many hours being put in at the moment, but yeah, hopefully, well, it will change over the next few weeks once we get settled.
In terms of darts, where is 2023 laying for Alan Norris?
2023 for myself is hopefully breaking through and getting some TV events on the seniors. I'm just outside top 16 at the moment, but performances have been good there. Doing well on the MODUS this year. Hopefully, I'll get back a few times, and great breeding ground to get yourself back on track. And I enjoy every minute down here. Yeah, I've got a lot of exhibition work here, there and everywhere. Off to Australia in May, so yeah, we'll see what happens. No, things are good, life's good.
Great to hear, and obviously now crowd tomorrow night. Just adds a different dynamic, doesn't it, on those Saturday evenings?
Yeah, I think so, and it's nice to have a bit of a buzz behind you, you know, a little bit of noise, you know, you get more of the pub feeling, the stage feeling, and I think it works for some players. Some players, they don't like it. So for me, I love it. So it could work in my advantage. And it seems the better player I play, the better I produce darts at the moment. So yeah, no, I'm enjoying darts.
And it's really, really good to see. We're going to quickly show you the Group B table before we let you go, because there's still a lot riding on the games to come. You are currently top of the pile on 12 points, but you've got to wait for the outcome of our next match to see whether you finish top of the table.
Well, I'll probably be second looking at it. Who was the next match? Conor against
Jamie.
Jamie. Well, you never know. I mean, Jamie, I think he's very much underperformed this last 2 days. He's a much better player than the table suggests. I mean, you saw it tonight at first game. He went off on fire, 15-13. The lad's got the darts, you know, and it just hasn't happened for him the last 2 days. So you never know. Maybe he can do a good one. Do me a turn. Top of the table would be nice.
24 hours roughly or so to prepare for tomorrow night. What's going to be the plan for tomorrow going into finals night?
Sleep, walk in, eat, down here, get prepared a couple of hours before, and yeah, enjoy darts.
Do you know what, that sounds like a plan. I might just do exactly the same as well. Alan, thank you very much for coming up, having a chat with us here on the balcony. Next up for us, it's the game between Conor Heneghan and Jamie Kelling. Just 2 more games to go here in Group B. This one, at the end of it, we'll know who's going to be the table topper. Watching this one in the commentary box is Matthew Edgar and Paul Nicholson.
Nice to hear from Alan, who's had a very successful campaign here in Group B. And I think the words uttered by Alan and Henry there about being top of the table may have been heard by Conor Heneghan, who's only lost 1 game in this group, and that was to Alan Norris back in Game 6. Let's see what kind of riposte we can have from the Irishman right now as he takes on Jamie Kelling, who will play his last game of the group, last game of the week, and last game of Super Series 3 right here.
Okay, first leg, it's Conor to throw first. Game on.
Who's your favourite to win this week now? Has it changed
140
over the course of today?
I don't know if there is one.
96.
I know it's a boring response and it's very splinters. but you can make a case for Denon, Heneghan,
57.
Warburton, Bialekci. Well, he said that's a good Saturday.
86.
That's a very good Saturday.
Do you know what? I think that is maybe, and it's very easy for us to say this, by the way, sitting here in a warm commentary box, 25 metres from the stage.
39.
But honestly, of all of the Saturday nights that I've seen, I've never seen one where 6 players are on such an even keel.
66.
Absolutely. I think this week screams 9-dart shootout.
Apologies for the delay. Another minor pause, just getting the score right. All is well. He's determined to get a 170, isn't he? He's had more looks at it this week than anybody.
He's ticked almost every box this week.
59.
So let me get this straight. We haven't had a 160 checkout, but we've had a 161, a 164, a 167.
145.
I lined it up perfectly for you. What more do you want, Connor?
When he took out the 164 earlier in the week as well, I did say at that point that
180.
there's only a couple of
Conor
finished better.
25.
Then he did the 167. I said there's only one better than that.
Well, 4.
Game show.
Oh, and just for a moment, Jamie
Conor
Kelling,
Heneghan.
who hit a 180 to lead 77, thought he was going to get a look. But that's basically what's happened to Jamie this
Second
week.
against Jamie to throw
He's done
first.
some great
Game
things, but he's been in the wrong spot more often than not.
140.
That's just that too little, too late approach, isn't it? It's not
140.
too little because it's the biggest shot he could have done, but it's just too late.
Whatever Jamie does next, whatever tournaments he chooses to
60.
attend, whether they are local or a little bit further afield, we wish him well. And I'm sure we'll see him back in the middle of the year in Super Series 4.
180.
Now, earlier in this leg, Heneghan hit 2 treble 20s and narrowly missed a third. And he flicked a look to the board as if to say, oh, I was on it there. Well, he would have been had he hit dart 3.
He wasn't far
58.
away. It was a well-thrown dart, just sat on the wire. But he has stolen the march here on the Jamie Kelling throw.
99. Conor 123.
16s. That's for the ball.
98.
I would have added
Jamie
another
require 102.
tumpless checkout onto the 80s already shown us this week so far.
54. Conor required 25.
25 in the first leg. Could take it a slightly different way here, but on the same double.
Game
And
show on
just
the
so,
second
2-0
leg.
lead.
Conor Heneghan.
Beat Jamie yesterday 4 legs to 2, averaging just shy of
Then it's Conor
93.
to throw first.
And his doubles were effective as well. 4 hits from 9. Doesn't want to be denied the top spot in Group B
100.
by the looks of it. Norris might have to settle for second spot on 12 points.
140.
I think Norris will be happy enough. It'll be a bonus to finish top, but
93.
when he came here, the priority was get through to Saturday, and with that second, third place, I don't think he'll be too worried. He's through. He's in with a chance of the £5,000 weekly prize.
Well, we've already mentioned about the even nature of all of the players in Saturday night. And by that token,
98.
does it really matter who's in each group?
It's looking like it might not.
140.
I can't predict a winner. I really can't. And I'm not just doing this for suspense. I genuinely can't see a favourite.
And you know what? I'm going to back
Jamie
you up.
require 81.
And right now, it's so tight that I don't even want to predict a winner.
69.
Well, Conor's got another chance at it.
170.
Jamie narrowly misses an 11 and a 12 darter. How many times has he left it tonight? Is it 5?
100. Jamie required 12.
He might have to wait until tomorrow.
Game
He'll
shot
have to
the
wait
third leg.
until at least the next
Jamie
leg to have
Kelling.
another crack at it. That's a better leg.
Fourth leg, it's Jamie to
If you
throw
want a little bit of
first.
proof as
Game
to maybe why Jamie Kelling's averaging well this week in the bottom two, this is why. Because he's constantly in matches where he's averaging well and
on.
losing.
134.
One thing he's struggled with, though, is sustaining this level all the way to the very end.
60.
Seems to have these really big averages at the start of games, and then when one or two shots go wrong, it seems to affect the rest of the game.
96.
He's a very mature individual, is Jamie. He has spent a lot of time with Aaron Monk in his life.
85.
It's fair to say that they both have an amazing amount of talent. Obviously, Aaron's kicked on to do some other things.
87.
But I really do believe that Jamie Kelling has got the level that is required to be a pro player, if that is something he wants to achieve.
59.
I don't think it's top of his list right now. But maybe further success here at the MODUS Super Series before the end of this year
100.
is very gettable if he just keeps going.
$85. Jamie require 84.
Good scoring performance in the last couple of legs. He's now got more 140 throws than Conor.
52.
And he's going to leave himself on double 16 for a change. Do you think that was on purpose, or was that a miss at the single 8?
98.
It seemed a bit
Jamie
too
required
far away
32.
for it to be a bit of a slip.
60.
That's a slip.
Going to require 140.
These are sort of shots that Conor Heneghan has been punishing people with.
I was going to say, it's got to be bull 14 bull. What do I know?
74. Jamie
See what Reece
requires
Robinson does
60.
to us? He teases us with the 118 on bull 18 bull. And then nobody else follows suit. Double 4.
8.
And is that what you were talking about?
Connie require
At this
40.
stage of matches, just lets a few too many chances slip by.
Game shot on the fourth leg.
And we've got a lot of
Conor
opportunistic players out there. You can see the frustration for JK. And Heneghan is within one leg of winning the group.
Fifth leg, it's Conor to throw
And when
first.
that happens, he's not
Game
been able
on.
to recover from this situation. When it's all going well, he's able to run along with it. But as soon as he gets that setback, seems to just stick with him a little bit too long. We'll see
57.
if he can put it right in this one. That is the perfect first start.
140.
Normally when you get with the first start, just settle you down for the visit. You know you've got the minimum requirement of getting the treble on the board.
81.
If you were Jamie Kelling leaving us after this game, what would you say would be his primary focus going forward darts-wise? What advice would you give him?
Got to play more. Get out there, do some of the ADC events. When I was trying to find a few things to
24.
tell you guys at home about Jamie Kelling, there's not a lot of information out there because he doesn't seem to do that much in terms of the travelling side of it, and
100.
certainly in the tournament play, which makes it all more impressive that he can hit these levels.
So in a similar vein to maybe Fallon Sherrick,
121.
it's maybe more match exposure. Ooh, double top.
86.
Leaves the arm out there as if to say, I got the follow through slightly wrong on that one.
$85.
And Conor did the
Jamie
same
required
thing.
35.
To leave the 127 in game. But he doesn't get a look at it.
Leg.
And Jamie's still
Kelling.
kicking here.
Sixth leg, it's Jamie to throw first. Game on.
I've always thought it'd be really good to have Jamie at a TV event with fans and walk-ons, because his walk-on song is "We All Live in a Yellow Submarine," and that would get the
59.
crowd going.
Yeah, I agree. That would be a good one, especially on things like the Euro Tour.
81.
You could change the lyrics, actually, and have it as "We all live in a former Portsmouth church."
58.
Going back to the topic of the night from earlier, where we change a few lyrics of a famous song to make it darts related.
60.
Well, when Mr. Ware is not here, one of our spotters and professional referees,
57.
you could say that former U2 song would be pretty apt, because we can't live with or without Hugh.
140.
Welcome to 20 to 1 in the morning here in the UK.
$96.
I know that Marco Meyer's been watching this evening. He's been sending me a few messages. Nice to hear from you, Marco. And if there was going to be a mix of 90s pop culture and a bit of MODUS Super Series, you could have Marco Meyer and the Funky Bunch.
85.
Please tell me that you're aware of Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Mark Wahlberg. I think I'm showing my age now. And my delirium.
95. Jamie require 146.
So it will be 100 for Heneghan
60.
to finish the job
Connie
in
require
Group B,
100.
where he has genuinely been the strongest. But it's a somewhat defensive
40.
effort there.
Jamie require
He was
86.
under the mark for dart 2 and 3. We might even have another leg. But then again, we might not.
69. Connie requires 60.
Double top. And now 10s for a 14-point campaign.
Game shot and the match.
He wins the group
Conor Heneghan.
and only loses one game in the whole group along the way as well. Jamie Kelling will have to settle for just the one win. He did get that this evening, but don't be too perturbed by what's happened the last couple of days, Jamie, because at times you played really well. It's just about consistency and winning those big moments. I'm sure we'll see more of him in the future, but we'll see more of Conor Heneghan when it comes to Saturday night as the Group B winner. Sebastian Bialekci will now take on Trina Gulliver in the last qualifying match of the entire week.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where Conor Heneghan has rounded off his campaign with a 4-2 success against Jamie Kelling. He's going to be the man at the top of Group B at the end of proceedings here this evening. We head into our final match of the session now. It sees Sebastian Bialekci in action. He takes on Trina Gulliver, and this is going to be watched in the company of Paul Nicholson and Matthew Edgar.
Yeah, one last game for Sebastian to play before he returns for day number 6. He's had a very busy week, has Sebastian, after being at Minehead for the UK Open last week, but he wasn't there for very long. Trina will try and usurp Jamie Kelling in 4th position in the table, because with a win over Sebastian, she will get to 4 points. Jamie Kelling has to settle for 2. Trying to turn it around from yesterday, where Sebastian won by 4 legs to 1.
Game on.
So when we think about tomorrow's finals, Matt Dennett has played 3 days this week.
99.
Alan Norris has played 2. Conor Heneghan will go into day 6.
60.
As will Bialekci and Warburton. So there will be 3 players who have done the max and 3 players who haven't.
96.
Does that come into it?
Of course it will, yeah. It's a lot of time on the board. It's a lot of time on your feet. It's a...
100.
I wouldn't be surprised if it is one of the deciding factors. If we are going to go down that road, would say Alan Norris, Reece Robinson and Matt Dennett would have a slight advantage.
Would you say, I'm just trying to pick this apart for our viewers to see if we can give them some insight,
81.
that Robinson and Norris would be preferable because they haven't had a 2-day gap or a 2-day break?
58.
I think in the benefit of Reece Robinson, yes, but in the term of Alan Norris, no.
Now, we do know that Matt Dennett has been playing darts yesterday because he played Super League. I don't know how he got on, by the way. We'll ask him tomorrow. In fact, we'll ask him a little bit later tonight because it's already Saturday.
Game shot.
Sebastian Bialekci with a 1-5-2 to start the match off.
Second against Trina to throw first.
We had to give it the mega flash. I do hope if you've got some sort of sensitivity to light that you were too busy making a cup of tea.
He's already qualified. He's already through. He can't go up, he can't go down. He's in 3rd place. Look at the look and the focus on the face of Sebastian Bialekci.
40.
The focus in the eyes, the focus on the face. This is a sign of someone who has all the qualities to be a long-term professional
60.
dart player.
Yeah, someone who wants to be around for the next 25 years. Which is something that Trina's already done.
60.
I wonder where he's going to be in 6 years when his time as a youth player is over. A lot has been made already of Luke Littler at the age of 16. Players who are in their early 20s like Josh Rock. I always say, give them the freedom to play
55.
at whatever level they want until they're 25. And then after that, we can start putting a bit of pressure on them. He's got plenty to look forward to this year, as this young man. He's gained a lot of experience over the last 18 months to 2 years. And now he can use it a bit more effectively. And I think this experience this week is going to stand him in good stead for the rest of the month. He's got Challenge Tour action to look forward to in the coming week. European Tour action to look forward to at the end of the month. And to be honest with you, it's as close to a home game as he's got on the European Tour in the eastern part of Germany. About an hour north of Dresden,
require 64.
which is not that far from the Polish border. So he could possibly drive there if he drives.
32. Trina require 164.
She just took a couple of big finishes at the right moments. We'd add this one to the list. The list that is the 102, which was the 2-2, 19 combination. The 120 that she had earlier on this evening.
164.
92.
You didn't make the list.
Sebastian required 32.
2 8s.
Game shot on the second leg. Sebastian Bialekci.
He's just finding a lot more in the scoring. And that has been missing for Trina tonight on the whole.
Third leg, it's Sebastian to
with
throw
all of
first.
her experience, I think she knows that this 2-day campaign has definitely been good to get her closer to the kind of shape that she needs to be in for Blackpool at the end of March.
Tough game that for the number 3 seed. It's like
80.
a Lakeside legend of the male game taking on a Lakeside legend of the female game. Martin Adams taking on Trina Gulliver.
And by the time they play that match, they will know the destination
58.
of those trophies that they held aloft many times. I haven't actually had a chance to ask Trina about it.
26.
But maybe that's for another time. Maybe we'll find out where they go, and then we'll find out from Trina what she feels about it. And indeed, Martin.
85.
That looks in.
99.
Just taking in the hush, you know, of this place, because it's not going to be like this later tonight.
135.
It's gonna be a little louder and a little brighter and a little bit more tense.
Someone is going to leave a little bit richer. £5,000
59.
prize fund for, well, later today, isn't it? Later this evening.
57.
6 players will descend on the live lounge.
You know what the currency is in Poland?
Euros.
59. Sebastian, you record
Apparently it's the
106.
Polish zloty.
How many Polish lots do you get for £5,000?
74.
Let's have a little look. Just shy of 26,500. Tell you what 20,000 is.
60. Sebastian, you require 32.
105,000. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it, Sebastian?
Game shot on the third leg.
Well,
Sebastian
one more
Bialekci.
leg, and then you can concentrate on maybe the £5,000 prize when it comes to Saturday night.
Fourth leg, it's Trina to throw first.
If you win on Saturday night, you can focus on the even bigger prize. The Champions Week will start on May 1st.
81.
And a few days later, on the Saturday night of that week, we will crown our 3rd Super Series champion here in Portsmouth.
93.
To add a name to the list of Conan Whitehead and Raymond Smith.
$100.
When they played yesterday, Sebastian averaged just shy of 87, 50% on doubles.
96.
Not particularly shocked to see him do that because we have talked at length about his consistency. Great darts there from Trina. That's the first maximum of this game. It might be the only one, you never know.
Require 140. 60.
Still a chance for Sebastian to get back in this leg, but a 140 you feel is a must. Is he starting to wane at the
58.
wrong time
Training
again?
require 80.
He did this a little bit in his first game of the night. We just found enough in leg 5 against Norris.
40.
Maybe it's a sign of a player that's just not panicking. He has a bad start to a leg and doesn't let it affect him.
60. Training required 40.
What a lovely marker that is.
Game shot on the 4th leg.
54 grams
Trina
of tungsten is what's needed to get that 4th leg of the contest. And Trina does get her second leg of the night.
Sebastian to throw first.
When you see Bialekci
58.
at this portion of an evening delivering low darts, it usually is a sign of a tight arm. You can see in the background that he's trying to loosen it up.
100.
And the funny thing about Group B is it's a really fair indication as to how you might feel towards the end of a Saturday night, because in order to win on a Saturday night, you have to win 4 games.
100.
You play 4 games in Group B per night. So gauge yourself. How do you feel at this juncture? What can you do
41.
to make sure that you are more prepared to be at your best for all 4 matches, potentially on Saturday night?
100.
You don't have to be at 109 level all the time to be successful here, but Scott Taylor proved that you might just need it once.
$99.
Nice approach. He's not far from the finishing line here. And he is going to be 3rd in this group.
100.
10 points.
Sebastian Rock 144.
Providing he can convert 144 in 6 darts. And that will be a small matter of an 8-point cushion between himself and the bottom 2. When you look at the table with fresh eyes, it looks like a domination job. But it wasn't really in the bag until
99.
about 2 or 3 matches ago.
Require 86.
Bullseye to finish it.
43.
Every dart he threw there was low and left.
78.
Double top to prolong this one.
58.
That might be curtains
Sebastian
for Trina.
Required 43.
Double 16.
Game
And Bialekci is just too strong once again for the Golden Girl. 4-1 against her yesterday. 4-1 again in the early hours of Saturday morning. And Bialekci goes to Saturday night with 10 points in the bag in Group B. It wasn't a vintage display. In fact, one of his worst displays of the entire week. But it doesn't matter, because he's going to be involved in one of the tightest finals that we've ever seen. I can't pick a favourite. Can you, Matt Edgar? Can you, Henry?
Paul, thank you very much. I like the fact that you sit on the fence and knowing that you can't come back into the conversation. You're going to leave us to describe what's going to happen tomorrow night. So I'm going to leave that to Matthew Edgar, and we'll summarise this group. We'll begin with Conor Heneghan, because if there's one word to describe what he's done in Group B, it's been dominating.
And brilliant. We'll go with those 2. It's been flashes of absolute the very best. And I feel at one point he sort of set a personal mission, because he was starting to leave things like the 170. We saw him do the 164, the 167, the 9-darter. It's like he wanted to get all these out the way before it came to Saturday. I wouldn't put it past him yet, because the routes that he goes tends to leave it quite a lot, a bit like a Michael van Gerwen.
Indeed. Well, let's have a look at the table then in Group B, following the conclusion of play. 10 matches, 8 matches for each of the players. 10 matches here this evening. And Alan Norris, 12 points. We heard from him just before the final game, and it feels like his game is heading in the right direction again.
Yeah, it did, and I was really impressed with what I saw from Alan Norris throughout the last couple of days. It certainly was a lot more than I expected to see from him on the basis of what we've seen at Q School, what we saw here. And not just, like I said before, on the screen, not the dartboard side, where you see the darts landing, the Alan Norris side. I didn't like what I saw. I've loved what I've saw these last couple of days, and rightly so, second place in the table. And dare I say it, it's going to take a bit of beating, but we're going to say that about all 6.
Sebastian Bialekci, is he going under the radar a little bit? The way he's been playing this week, no one's really been speaking about him in terms of winning volumes. Will they do so a little bit more as Saturday maybe goes on?
I think the issue is we're speaking about everybody. We spoke about Sebastian Bialekci quite a lot in commentary and saying about how good he's been and the consistency. But the problem is, as soon as we start having that conversation, we then move it to somebody else and we move it to somebody else. And this is a Saturday night. Paul Nicholson said it. I've said it already, where the competition levels are so high because for that reason, you say no one's speaking about him, but how can we focus on one player? How can you pick one of these guys out and really have a strong fancy on them? And what we're going to do is the same thing tomorrow. We're going to flip-flop around all 6 players and just spend a little bit of time on each. And then what we'll probably do is at the end of it, we'll go, see, I told you.
Well, exactly that. Well, let's have a look and see who is into Saturday night's final. Saw Matt Dennett win Group A, didn't we, on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, respectively. He's going to be joined by Rhys Robinson, who progressed his way through Group C, and Alan Norris, who, of course, came through tonight's Group B. Heneghan and Bialekci will join Mike Warburton in Group 2. Now, you look at that. Well, to be honest, both of those groups, you think, oh, ouch.
Yeah, I hope it's not me on predictions for tomorrow because I just don't know how you're going to do it. Both those groups, can I predict 2 9-dart shootouts? I think that might be the way this is going to go.
Basically, what you're saying, you are predicting a very long night indeed.
A long night of real intense, close competition that will probably be decided by a tumblers checkout of something like a 1-2-4.
Well, we look forward to that. I hope you can join us here on Sporty Stuff TV and the MODUS Super Series YouTube channel. Just a reminder of how Saturday nights work here. 7:30 start on the MODUS Super Series YouTube channel. We'll then join you on Sporty Stuff TV for the semi-finals and final at 10. If you miss anything from the pool stage, we'll also have an extended highlights package as well to accommodate that. But me, Matt, Paul, the whole team will be back tomorrow night, suits in hand as well, for finals night here in Week 5, where Conor Heneghan led the way in Group B.